Cynthia Allen here. We are almost at the very end. We only have one more item chance to get together, and that's the panel discussion after this. So, wow, it did go extremely fast. Just to get yourself reacquainted once again with the platform, look around and find the chat area and get to know each other in the chat, raise some questions, ideas, something maybe you disagree with, who knows what you're thinking, go ahead and put it over there and we will fold it into the panel discussion that'll be happening in just a little bit over an hour from now. And of course, this is the Feldenkrais Awareness Summit. I'm sure you know that by now. And I'm very pleased to introduce you today to Chus Jimenez. She has a PhD. She has a PhD. She has studied podiatry, physical therapy, and yes, the Feldenkrais method. She is very, very curious about life and balance and has been exploring this whole package of cognition, emotions, sensitivity, and motor control in the body and how people develop and move throughout their daily life. She's very dedicated to continuing to explore this arena, including doing research. And so we're very, very happy to have you Chus.
Hi, Cynthia. Thank you very much for letting me be here. It's a real pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you too. And so I know it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon there. It's a little earlier for us over here. But so let's start talking about, let's start digging right into the, what's that picture behind you? Can you tell me about that picture?
Yeah. That picture, it was taken by a friend of mine. He's an artist, and it's from Alcalá de Henares, a little village here in Madrid, where a famous writer was born, Miguel de Cervantes. And well, the meaning of that picture is simply that, as you can see, this is me. I'm laying on the floor on the road of the city center. And I like to feel while I'm seeing it that it will be pretty that everyone could be able to sleep and to have rest no matter where. And I think it could be possible if we allow ourselves to feel our body and the atmosphere as well in a better way.
Wow, I love that. Allow ourselves to feel our body in the atmosphere and in relationship to all these changing surfaces, and the ultimate adaptability maybe in some ways would be to be able to sleep anywhere, huh?
That's it. We need changes in ourselves to create adaptability and in a comfortable situations. We need to take into account the atmosphere, the scenario as well, of course, and the social component to reach all that kind of wish to come true.
Good, good. You know, I'm going to stop here and just say something that I've only said one other time in the summit because I always forget to say it, and I'm so sorry about this. But we're very blessed to have Chus here speaking with us. As you can tell, English is not her first language, although she speaks it extremely well. But if you have trouble understanding the accent, you could just zip out of this. Make sure your captions are turned on in YouTube, then come back and there will be captions for you across the bottom. And that might be helpful to some of you. And also for those of you where English isn't your first language either, the captions can be helpful. So we don't have captions on all, we actually don't have captions on the panel discussions. Everything else we've had captions on. I hope that you can take advantage of that. You won't miss out on a lot if you just zip out, do it, and come back. Okay, so Chus, let's get started here with this topic that you've been exploring, which is peripheral neuropathy.
That's it.
And can you just...
I'm doing research right now about how the peripheral neuropathy, that means the problems, the deficit in sensory information related with the somatosensory part of our sensory system, how can it be improved through sensory motor training? That's my current research. Peripheral neuropathy is a group of diseases affecting the large distal myelinated sensory fibers of the arms and the legs, mainly affecting the hands and the feet. So, as you can imagine, people who have problems with this kind of sensory information are not able to use properly their hands and not their feet. So the point where I want to pay more attention is in walking. As you have said, I'm podiatrist as well, and I love that research domain, the balance and the postural control while we are walking. And if you take into account that there are lots of people having problems in the sensory system, in the somatosensory system, affecting mainly the lower legs and in the feet, well, we can be aware that maybe it is necessary to do something. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about it. We will talk about it, but sensory motor training and Feldenkrais method can offer something interesting in this domain.
Can you just clarify for us the difference between, say, peripheral neuropathy and neuropathy that's caused, say, from an injury to a lumbar nerve or a cervical nerve?
Yes, I can. Well, peripheral neuropathy is due to a toxic problem, not an impingement, not a mechanic problem. It's an injury due to some kind of metabolic and toxic reasons. For example, there are two main causes, two main problems related with peripheral neuropathy. They are diabetes and neurotoxicity due to chemotherapy, okay, in cancer patients. So the problem here is that there are changes in the peripheral nervous system, and we can find strange branches in collateral branches of the peripheral nerves. So these people are not able to feel simple touch and vibration. They have problems with proprioception as well, which is necessary for moving, for walking. But there are a kind of numbness, a kind of unknown sensations while they are pressing the floor. But there are big group of population affected by peripheral neuropathy having pain with, for example, a light touch. So they are not able to feel the normal sensations, but there are strange sensory information related with pain. And it is happening in the large fibers of the sensory system. It is not related with the spine or with some kind of radiculopathies.
Radiculopathy. Okay. Yeah, that's a great, I think that's a great clarification for people, because people who might be tuning in go, oh, well, I got that. And they are very different things. Although some of the symptoms might be slightly shared, they're definitely different.
Yeah. They are different. Yeah. This is bilateral. They tend to be bilateral. And well, as I have said, it's kind of toxic etiology because of treatment and because of high levels of sugar in diabetes. Okay, so great. The problem is there, located in the distal parts of the body and not in the spine or in the lumbar spine, not other parts.
Good. Well, I know you're going to talk about this even more. I just always like to get that clarification for us all. And then why don't you go ahead and show us into your PowerPoint presentation that you've got for us.
Okay. Well, peripheral neuropathy and balance. That's the topic of my current research.
Is that the street that you were lying on?
Yeah, it's the same one. It's
picture
the same
behind you?
Yeah, it's the same one. It's an ancient road. and quite pretty. And as you can see, there are two persons there walking, there is shadows, and it's a quite pretty image as well. Yeah, it's the same one. And well, let's see what's happening with this topic. We'll see something related with balance, about body image as well, and conservative gait, how people having problems with somatosensory system and another kind of problems as well, walk in a conservative way. So what about balance? Sorry. Here we should see a video, okay? As you can see, this boy is able to move freely, choosing how he wants to land, to leave the floor. I guess he's aware of the view, the scenario where he is dancing, and he's controlling the manner of touching or leaving the floor in a soft, very delicate way. Well, he has control. That's the point. But well, he's a very skilled boy and he has trained a lot, I'm sure about it. But not everybody has this kind of skilled sensory motor systems. So what's necessary to have postural control? Let's see in the next slide. In order to have balance and to control our postural, control our motion, we need to have sensory skills, motor skills, and we have to take into account as well the executive functions, the cognitive functions. Let's start by the sensory skills and above all, the somatosensory system. That system mainly affected by peripheral neuropathy. With somatosensory system, we have the cutaneous stimulus touched. We cannot feel properly what's happening in our skin. As I have said, the feet are very damaged due to peripheral neuropathy. So I'm not able to feel if I'm affected, but by peripheral neuropathy, I'm not able to feel the contact with the floor properly. I'm not able to feel vibrations or by some kind of variations in the contact with the floor. And not only the cutaneous stimulus, but also do the proprioceptive system fails. So I'm not sure about how is my ankle located in the space or how my foot is related with my lower leg. So I'm not safe while I'm walking, you know. This is quite hard. So it's not easy to maintain balance with somatosensory system affected by this kind of neuropathy, okay? And it happens with both groups of people affected by peripheral neuropathy, with diabetic population and with people suffering chemotherapy treatment due to cancer, okay? But with diabetes, having the blood sugar high, we can find a lot of more systems, a lot of more tissues affected by toxicity of sugar in blood. For example, that's the case of the vestibular system. It's another sensory system related with balance. It helps us to maintain our gaze stable despite of having our head moving. And well, it is related as well with the head position in the space. But it is affected in a 70% higher probability. It is affected in diabetic population. And it happens as well with vision. It is quite important to have the opportunity to see what's in front of us while we are walking. But in diabetic population, there is another problem, the retinopathy, vision problems related with high levels of sugar in blood. In fact,
with high levels of
even
what?
of sugar in blood.
In sugar in blood, okay.
Yeah, hyperglycemia due to diabetes. So in type 1 diabetes, and 80% of people have retinopathy. At the end, with diabetes, these three sensory systems are suffering some kind of damage, okay? But it happens as well with motor skills. People having peripheral neuropathy tend to feel weak. There are weakness, there is a delay in the motor activation of the muscles. There are some kind of atrophy, and the tendons are thicker, and well, we have several problems related with coordination and muscular activation. And the third part, related with executive functions, with cognition, is very important as well. And sometimes we don't pay attention to this point. Because if I want to keep balance and I want to move properly, attending to what's happening around me, if someone is talking to me, or there's some kind of motions, some cars or bicycles or a dog, as you will see in a moment, I need to react. I need to process that kind of unexpected information properly. And in diabetes, once again, several studies have shown that we have the cognitive functions affected as well. There are damage in the wide matter of the central nervous system, and a delay in the processing of information. So we are facing a problem quite complete, involving balance in people with peripheral neuropathy, because as you can see, the central nervous system is affected as well.
Go ahead.
The consequences of all this scenario are that people having peripheral neuropathy, as I have said, there are another systems as well affected, have loss of confidence. They are afraid of moving very often. And as you may be aware, when we are afraid, when we don't feel safe, there is a body reaction related with co-contraction. All the muscular system react and create a stiff posture, okay? And sadly, it's very frequent that people affected by this kind of injuries stay at home and becoming sedentarist. I don't know, sedentarism, to stay at home and
sedentary.
avoid.
I would just call it being sedentary. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to stay at home watching TV and on the sofa, and well, it's a very there will be a very decline, or a very lost in the physical function. A health decline as well, and it is affecting the quality of life, of course. So if you don't use your body, you're going to lose your body image, as you know. And it is happening something like this in the feet of the people affected with peripheral neuropathy. Sometimes it happens as well with the hands, but mainly in the feet. And well, you know, when time passes by, it's more difficult to recognize my body if I'm not able to feel it. I cannot feel it. I cannot move it properly. So the image, the body representation disappears. And well, it is necessary to do something to improve this situation, to recover my skills in sensory and motor skills as well. Because I guess you will see another video now showing how people with peripheral neuropathy walks, and they have a slower gait, a wider base of support, a longer double support time. It is not easy to leave the foot of the floor. And when something new is happening, they are not able to prevent the possibility of falling down. They are not able to react to new circumstances. And usually they tend to fall down. Even it is said that they are up to 23 times more likely to fall down than healthy people, healthy
23
population.
times. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
hope he was okay. That was kind of painful to watch over and over again, and but it looked like it might not have been
Okay.
a really awful fall.
And okay, we change, and maybe here we will find some light, because here you can see a video showing part of my intervention, my proposal, in a randomized control trial. It is done in a hospital, and it's part of my research. And as you can see, there is a group of people training, moving their pelvis in a circular way. And I tried them to put attention to what's happening in the sole or of their feet while they are moving the pelvis. And this is key, because you are moving your body in a quite unusual way, but something is happening in your feet. And they are not able to usually feel what's happening there, but the attention, trying to find some help in the supraspinal resources, in the central nervous system resources, the attention is key in this point, can be useful to recover, to recognize once again what's happening in the distal parts of the body. In this case, we are talking about the feet, and this is happening. I hope to tell you something more in the next year, probably, showing several results of the research. But we can have some hope at this regard.
Is this a class of yours then? That
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing an intervention, a training with 2 months of classes, and we are measuring what's happening before and after the training.
Okay.
And yeah, I think, of course, I hope to keep on researching the rest of my life and keep on improving. But there are several curious things about the current research, and yeah, and I will show you soon, I hope.
That's a very challenging position that you have them in, with their leg crossed, and I like how you've got
Yeah,
their hand on
as
a
you can
wall.
see, it is not easy for them, so they need to grasp something to use the wall for maintaining the balance. Okay, I think we come back here.
Okay.
Hi again.
Hi. Okay, so I think then this is actually, that last video was actually part of your current research project. Is that correct?
That's it.
Good. And just tell us a little bit more about that research project.
Okay, well, I'm on my way with this research. It is being developed in 2 hospitals here in Madrid. So it's quite interesting because it's a multi-centric study. And well, people tend to be old and they have certain problems with their balance. And they are at risk of falling down. We have measured that because there are several proofs, several tests. In fact, there is one very simple, very easy to perform. This is the up and go test. Probably you know it, or it's quite easy to find it on YouTube even. And well, we are trying. They are in a risky situation, but still they are able to go to the office, to the hospital, to the center, and receive the lessons we are preparing for them. And the objective is to see if they can improve, if the nervous system has the ability to recover. There are two targets. One of them is to recover the damaged tissue, the peripheral nervous system affected by peripheral neuropathy. And the other strategy is based on compensatory strategies. And as I have said, here attention is key. It's very important because we are not only talking about one foot or the lower leg of a person with some kind of injury. We are talking about the whole human body and the central nervous system as well. And here the brain and the cerebellum can help the peripheral part to compensate the damage.
So, gosh, there's so much that you just said there. So let me see if I can back up and try to let us talk about each of them a little bit. So is your study a controlled, randomized study?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have a control group which receive the usual treatment, and we have an intervention group, another group receiving 2 months of training, sensory motor training based on Feldenkrais method.
Fabulous. And what's the N, or the number of participants?
Statistically, we need only 40 participants, 40.
Okay.
And we are on our way.
Yeah.
We are striving to gather to.
So your goal is 40.
That number.
Okay. Yeah. And so then they come and they.
It is not easy. Sorry for interrupt you. But it is not easy because 40 participants is not a high, a very big number of participants. But see that these persons used to stay at home because they don't feel safe when they go out, and well, they have more problems. If they are receiving chemotherapy, they have a weak situation, and probably no matter if they are with cancer or with diabetes, the prevalence of depression is higher as well. So they are older. Usually they are older when they have diabetes. If they are patients receiving chemotherapy, they can be affected by peripheral neuropathy and be young as well. But they are not well prepared to accomplish the compromise of following 2 months training. So it is not easy to complete all the design.
No, it would not be. It's not easy to recruit 40 people and have them stay in the study. So that you have 2 hospitals helping you is, find subjects is really important. I mean, and I could never do that in a private practice. It wouldn't happen. So you've been able, because you don't practice in these hospitals, is that correct?
No, probably in the future, but we need to prove that our proposal is interesting for these patients.
So they've partnered with you to help you identify subjects, which you kind of need you need a large institution to help you with that.
Yeah, that's it.
So, so you've got a controlled randomized study, and then they come for 2 months?
Yeah, of training.
Training once a week?
Once a year.
One time a week?
2 times a
Two
week.
times a week. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So that is
1 hour.
1
Yeah,
hour
1 hour.
each time.
Yeah, they need to have money to go to the hospital because here in Spain it is not easy to pay, to give money to the subjects participants who are participating in our research. So they have to pay the transport probably, and they have to be prepared to accomplish that kind of compromise.
Mm-hmm. And so then you went on after, so we got the kind of the understanding of the way your study is set up. And then you went on to say that you have 2 goals. And so one of the goals is the actual, it sounds like you're actually wanting to reverse the tissue damage. You're hoping to
Yeah.
demonstrate that the actual tissue damage it improves.
Yeah, there are several studies showing evidence related with an improvement in the speed, the sensory nervous transmission, the intensity and the velocity of the nervous system after a training. If it has been shown with yoga practice, with Tai Chi practice as well, and in a minor way, but as well with aerobic training.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to take to pay attention to this point, to aerobic training, because once again, people affected by this kind of pathology, usually they are not prepared to run or to use a bicycle or things like that. So we need to start with them in a very realistic and soft manner. And that's why we want to receive people in a real risk and start and find a starting point very adjusted to their current situation. So that's the reason why sensory motor training could be more helpful than another types of training.
How is the improvement in the speed of transmission measured?
Well, I don't remember exactly the percentage, but if it has been shown that in the medial nerve in the hand and as well in the lower legs, even the mostly the how can you see it? Twice faster. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yep,
then
twice as fast.
the intensity increases as well. And another study showed that the branches in the skin, the sensory nerve branches in the skin increased as well. Mm-hmm. So not the problematic ones, but the good ones. Oh. So after the training, there are nervous system plasticity and a recovery in that local part. But it has been shown as well that we can trust in supraspinal reorganization if we pay attention to what we are doing. So we can use that plasticity of the nervous system, focusing on the peripheral part and in the central part as well.
Okay, well that is definitely very, very hopeful then. And you have some early results that are encouraging?
Yeah. People improve their skills. They improve not only the nervous system tissue, but the functional aspects as well. They can move faster with more confidence, in themselves. So this is very important because when you are not able to move, you tend to stay at home, as I have said, and the rest of the systems start to fail as well. And your mood changes as well. If you have pain, everything is worse. But there is also some results showed by another kind of studies telling us that pain can improve as well when we apply some kind of treatment, some kind of training. to people affected by peripheral neuropathy. But we need to design a very realistic training, because there is a percentage of 31% of people live in the training proposal. You understand that? So
51% are leaving the
yeah,
training proposal.
they
They don't
abandon. Yeah, they don't finish the training.
finish. 51%, that's high. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, that's quite high. But the reason why this is happening is that mainly the trainings are not realistic, and
So
they are not
the 51% and the training program that you're referring to.
31. Sorry, 31%.
31. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
31. That's much better than 51. Yes. 31%. So the 31% that's leaving the training program, is that a traditional training program, or is that your program?
They are leaving the programs because some studies research with strength training that is not attractive for this kind of people. Aerobic training can be difficult sometimes
Okay.
for them, but yoga is very well accepted, and Tai Chi programs as well. And we are trying to see what happens with Feldenkrais method,
Okay.
but I can say that it is a good option, because it is very a very personalized training proposal, because as you know, people receiving this kind of training feel as if they were the researchers. They are investigating their own bodies. So their starting point is their body, no matter how it feels.
It's
We start
rediscovery.
with them. Yeah, they are discovering in their true starting point. They are not obligated to accomplish certain types of timing, or not timing, times or exercises already designed with machines and things like that. They are feeling their own bodies, being seated over a chair, or maybe with the help of a wall, standing up, but listening their own bodies. And attention is key, as I have said, for all that. When you are doing an aerobic exercise, probably attention is not a main character in this proposal.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify that then. In the studies, that what has been found is that 31% of the people drop out of strength training, aerobic, some of the more traditional approaches. They tend to do well or hang in with yoga and Tai Chi, and you're hoping to show that they will also have a really good rate of what is often called in research compliance with the Feldenkrais method and the approach that you're coming up with as well.
Yeah, and I think we can even improve the Tai Chi and yoga proposals, because Feldenkrais method is very focused on functionality.
Yes,
And
that's huge.
how to improve walking, taking into account the several phases of the step, and what's happening with the hip, for example, the pelvis, the movement of the arms. And it is designed to fragment, to have several pieces of the whole movement of walking, and later put everything together. And this is not happening with yoga, for example, not related with walking.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I mean, so a really positive, we want to be clear that we're really positive and supportive of people doing yoga and Tai Chi. The research shows that
Yeah, this is great.
For them, it's good for them, absolutely. And you're thinking that the Feldenkrais method, because of the way it connects to functionality and specifically to walking over and over and over again, will have an even bigger carryover into activities of daily life.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
That's nice. So you're in private practice. You have your own practice somewhere in Madrid?
Yeah, I have my office here in the city center,
Yeah.
near of Atocha rail station, a very pretty place.
Okay.
You
And
are welcome here.
oh, good. Well, I want to bring a group to Spain maybe next year, so we might come and visit you. Could you lead us in a little something that you would think would be really good for somebody with peripheral neuropathy of the feet?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
maybe something about 10 minutes long, a little bit less.
Let's try it. Okay, so well, this is a specific part of a lesson. You should have trained before with balance issues. So, well, you need to start training balance with a very stable position, probably in a chair. You can progress in this kind of training using the standing up position, but with a wall near of you, and the kind of progress, the possibility of create a progression here is to reduce the base of support. So your patients start on a chair, standing up later with the feet in a natural position, but later with the feet together or in a tandem position, or crossing the legs later, or even in a monopedal position with only one foot over the floor, but always with a wall near of them, because this is challenging. Okay, but after having trained this kind of skills in a progressive way, you can add something more related with the foot, with the intrinsic muscles and properties of the foot. So in this specific part of a lesson, you should start once again on a chair, seated on a chair, and feel your contact with the floor, the contact of your left foot, for example, with the floor, how the heel touches the surface. How does it the forefoot as well? Pay attention to each of your metatarsal pads of your left foot and the pressure in the heel and in the forefoot as well. And start to shift the weight from the rear foot, from the heel to the forefoot and back. How do you do it? Are you using your knee? Or maybe your hip? What about your ankle? Is something happening in your pelvis? Okay, and stop. And try to do this using only your ankle. And try to feel while you are doing this, which is the height of your vault, the vault of your feet, of your left foot, sorry. The internal arch of your left foot. Sometimes it is very useful to feel posture, in this case the foot posture in movement. The proprioceptors of the muscles, the spindle muscles, are not the same when you are moving than when you are in a static position. So you are feeling, you are perceiving the height of your internal arch while you are moving. And now rest, please. And feel what's the height of your vault on your left foot, now in a static position. How could you increase the height of your vault in this foot, in the left one? Maybe you can try it moving your knee and your hip, your ankle as well, of course. But I'm going to ask you to keep touching the floor with your heel and with your pads, even the first one, the first metatarsal pad, and try to increase the height of your vault. How can you do it? We're going to explore at least 2 ways of doing it. Try to discover, try to explore if rotating your shin bone is useful for you. Try to use your ankle and your tibia and your fibula as well to modify the height of your vault there in your left foot. Is something happening there? Remember, you need to keep the contact of your heel and all your metatarsal pads. Keep the contact of all that with the floor. And this is something quite unusual for healthy people as well. But with peripheral neuropathy, this is really surprising. Sometimes maybe you can help your students, your patients, offering a kind of FI during their own explorations. You can guide with your hands, with your own motion, because it is very meaningful for them. But there is another way. Stop for a while and rest. Because now you have used your extrinsic muscles. You have used the lower leg, the long muscles from your knee to your toes. But there is a concept very well accepted by researchers that we need to increase the core muscles in the foot as well. You know, the intrinsic muscles of the foot, because they are very important to maintain the stability of the foot. So try to, without moving your knee, your hip, without moving your shin bone, try to modify, to increase the height of your vault in your left foot with your intrinsic muscles. Use the distance between your heel and your forefoot. And try to maintain your toes touching the floor. Can you feel the changes on your foot? Because people with peripheral neuropathy usually feel their feet as if they were a piece of wood or something like that. And it happens as well in their brain representation. But we are awakening this part of the body. And, well, you can stop here, but I want you to be aware that these kind of exercises should be introduced, should be used standing up as well, and even with only one foot over the floor. So with a very reduced base of support. Okay, so that's very important to create a functional training related with walking. I cannot hear you now.
That's very nice.
Now.
I like this whole idea of engaging, just to feel that you could engage and rotate the shin bone, the tibia and fibia as one option. And then coming down to, I like the language of vault, really like that language of vault. So if this were my foot, you know, how would I increase that? How would I increase that vault through there? And this.
Remember to leave the toes relaxed, okay?
Yeah.
This is not easy, but it is important.
It is important.
And possible.
Yeah, I was playing with the feeling of, you know, could my toes be long and in contact, or did they have to be scrunched, or did they have to be lifted? Yeah, so there's a lot of elements there that as you were to continue to play with that in different positions. And you don't, you know, Chus has just given us all a very usable thing that you can do at home on your own. You don't have to have a practitioner to help you with that. That right there is something that you can do. I would assume you would suggest that people might take off their shoes and their socks if they were doing it at home, so they would have more sense of their toes, maybe?
Yeah, if there is a clean surface to do it, there won't be any problem. But remember, people with peripheral neuropathy usually doesn't feel properly some skin injuries as well. So you need to prepare a very safe scenario for that.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, and I'm so excited because I think, you know, people with peripheral neuropathy that come into me are often feel quite hopeless. And so I heard you use that word early on, that there is hope. And thank you so much for doing the research and starting to pull this together. And of course, we know that research isn't everything, but it's good. And if we have it, it's good to get the word out and show that we are really, in fact, making an impact that can be demonstrated by science, even though we know we're making an impact for people with peripheral neuropathy.
I really thank you for that words, because I love what I'm doing, but it is not easy. Research sometimes is very hard, and we need from time to time we need emotional support. Yes. So thank you for your words. Yeah.
Oh boy, Chus, I definitely want to give you a lot of emotional support with this. You know, we did Carol Montgomery and I did a small study. It took us many years, and I was like, oh my word, I had no idea when you try to do a study like this and you're not in an environment which is supporting you as a researcher. I mean, it's always hard, even in that environment, but when you're really trying to maintain your private practice and put this together, and the staying power is just phenomenal that you need to have. Yeah. So you have to be really persevere so I hope you're able to persevere and get the emotional support. Excuse me. Because it is important, and you've got really a great vision. I mean, your background as a podiatrist and physical therapy, and now Feldenkrais gives you a breadth of knowledge that sets you up to really be able to do such a good job. And clearly, you know how to make relationships in hospital settings, and that's great. So, just big round of applause for you.
Thank you.
So,
I hope to share the results
you're doing an
with
awful
you.
lot. You're doing an awful lot already, but I'm going to ask you anyway, since the map is the territory is our topic. Is there anything that you would like to see improved in addition, or I don't know if improved is the right word. How about expanded? The map expanded in addition to what you're already doing in your private practice or in the field of Feldenkrais, or anything occur to you?
Well, I think we are always learning. We are trying to teach how to learn. I love the idea of identity. I love the idea of offering to my students, my patients, more accurate body identity, and it is related as well with their personality. And one thing I usually miss is creativity. From time to time, I work with artists, with dancers, and people working in theaters, and I would like to reduce the distance between artists and the other kind of population. I want people to be more creative with their own body image and with their own options. I want to amplify that. I want to clarify the identity, the body identity, the action identity, and to offer the possibility to introduce creativity in that.
Wow, I love that idea. I've personally found that creativity around my body image and also in just healing in general has been really an important aspect. It was huge for me 25 years ago when I was really trying to come out of chronic pain and other issues, that the creative process allowed me, well, first of all, I can think of the Feldenkrais as being very creative, but in addition to that, Feldenkrais came for me later, actually. I was really dug into the creative aspects of healing. And I think it's extremely vital for people. And we don't hear a lot of discussion about it. So I'm glad for you to bring it up, because it's a very important. It's hard, I find it's hard to be negative about myself when I'm creating. When I'm creating and there's that kind of creative force arising, and creation can take lots of different ways of it happening.
Yeah.
It can be gardening. For me, a lot of time these days it's gardening. So there's a lot of different ways that you can.
I love that.
Yeah. So to close the distance, as you say, between the artists and the artistic world and people who maybe don't have a great self-image, that would be fantastic. You put the somatics in with it. Mm.
I think we need to feel more free. We need freedom, because we live in a period with excessive information. We have a lot of opportunities, but we don't feel free to afford them, to treat all the information, all the paths to walk through. And I want to give the idea of self-identity and power to choose what you want to do with your life.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Chus Jimenez. I really appreciated having you. I'm going to start wrapping us up here. So we have the panel discussion that'll be taking place right after this that will be talking about the 3 talks that we've had with Ellen Soloway, Pradeep Chopra, and Chus Jimenez. And that panel discussion will be with David Zimak-Burson and Deborah Bose, 2 incredible experts in the Feldenkrais method. And I'm really pleased to be able to have them on a panel to chat with me about these 3 talks. As well, you can tune in for the chat there. And I think Chus might even be able to hang around for that chat. And some of the others are talking about hanging around for that chat. So you might get to talk with them on the keyboard directly. Get up, take a walk around, and get yourself something to drink. And then when you're ready, come back and join us in 15 minutes. And thank you so much, Chus. We're really glad to have you. And for Chus and I, we're going to say goodbye.
My pleasure.